Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are taking a look at my September TBR. So this TBR is actually a little bit different than most of my TBRs in that I don't actually know what's on it yet. So about a week ago, when some of the announcements went live, I decided to go ahead and participate in two different readathons next month. The first is the magical readathon from that G over at Book Roast is hosting, and that one is a pretty normal one where you have prompts and you pick the prompts and fulfill them, and you could actually pick a TBR ahead of time. But the other one that I chose to do is Becca's Bookopolython, hosted by, I think her channel name is Becca and the Books. I'll leave it down below, as well as their announcement videos. But this one is actually a TBR game, and so I have to play the game to figure out my TBR. And so that's what we're going to do today. So if you don't know, just real quick, the Bookopolython is based off of Monopoly, so that's the game board. And you just roll as many times as you want. You kind of set that ahead of time. And then you land on the squares that have various prompts. You pick a book that fulfills that prompt and keep going. So I have my board, I have my dice, and I have my game piece, which I stole from my Trouble board game. So we are going to go ahead and play this game. At the end, I will probably be adding in a couple of books to fulfill more prompts for the magical readathon, and like anything else that I need to do for the magical readathon, and we shall go from there. So let's go play. And here we are. So let's go for our first roll. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Monster. So for my first roll, I landed on monsters, and the prompt says read a book with monsters or monstrous characters. So for this one, I chose Alien Echo by Mira Grant. And because I figure even though they are aliens, they are pretty terrible to humanity. They do act quite a bit like monsters. So this is a young adult horror, and it is an Alien franchise tie-in novel, which is really interesting to me as I have never actually seen any of the Alien movies. I picked this up because Mira Grant is a pen name for my favorite author, Seanan McGuire, and I also do tend to enjoy her Mira Grant books, so I figured I would go ahead and give it a shot. But I don't actually know what this is about. It's not going to go well, though. That's all I know. It is an Alien franchise novel, and it's not going to go well. Now, I did mention that I am also doing the magical readathon. For the magical readathon, the premise is that all of the participants are trying to travel to the magic school that they will be attending. There are points of interest along the way which have prompts for different books. Now that is one part of the readathon, and that is the primary part for September, but there are also additional prompts that you can do to build your character. So this book actually fulfills one of my character prompts. I chose to be a dwarf, which means I need to read a science fiction, and this one fulfills that. And here we are for our second roll. Another 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Myth, lore, legend, fairy tale. So for my second roll, I landed on myth, lore, legend, and fairy tales. Read a book inspired by myth, lore, legend, or fairy tales. So I chose When Sorrows Come by Seanan McGuire, and this is the 15th book in the October Day series. The October Day series is an adult urban fantasy series that follows our main character of October Day, and she is half fae, half human, a knight, and she tends to be the person who is able to solve some really unusual situations in the fairy realms. Now, this is the 15th book, so there's not a ton that I can tell you. Suffice it to say that October is trying to get married, but unfortunately, anything she plans automatically goes awry because just nothing is ever easy with her. And so this is, for anybody that knows, this book is definitely inspired by folklore, and fairy tales get wrapped in as well. It is a very, very interesting mix, although it's not 100% obvious until you get further along in the series. But it is there, so I am counting it. Now, this book also does fulfill one of my magical readathon prompts. It is another character prompt, specifically the prompt for which province my character is from. I chose Etheria, which means that I needed to read a book that features Fae or Elven characters, which I think this one definitely does. Now for our third roll, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A chance one. So I landed on chance, and this is supposed to be a card draw where, you know, you have the chance cards, and on it are supposed to be various books that you have to read, specifically, you know, specific titles of books that you're supposed to read. And it's supposed to be a mix of things you want to read and things that maybe you don't. I did not actually make the cards, but I did make a list of books, 5 of them, and I have my random number generator, so we shall see. And we have number 4, and that is this book, The Anthropocene Reviewed. The Anthropocene Reviewed is by John Green, and it is an adult nonfiction series of essays where John Green is reviewing everything about modern day life. Well, obviously not everything. It's not that big of a book, but it is like random things from modern day life, from the big and fantastic to the utterly mundane. And that's ostensibly what it's supposed to be, but really these essays are very personal, and it tends much more memoir-ish. I have heard a couple of episodes of the podcast, The Anthropocene Reviewed, and I really liked what I heard, so I was very eager to pick up this particular book. This does also fulfill one of my prompts for the Magical Readathon, but actually one of the proper prompts along the Novus path. This one is The Ash-Torn Tree, a book that keeps tempting you or is at the top of your TBR list. And that definitely fits this book, since I have been trying to figure out how to put it on my TBR since I got it in May. So I'm very excited to get to it. And roll number 4. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Poll pick. Oh, I don't have enough people to do a poll. So I landed on poll pick. So the prompt for this one is select a few books and run a poll on your favorite social media. I don't have social media really, and so I didn't really know how to do this, and so I just decided to go ahead and re-roll. Re-rolling is an option if you don't have a book that fits the prompt, and essentially what you're doing is you're saying kind of a do-over. You just roll again, and you land on the next square and you pick a book like normal, but then as kind of punishment so that you don't keep doing this, you have to add an extra book for that same square. So whatever I roll, whatever square I land on next, I actually have to pick 2 books for. Reroll. 4, and it's a double. 1, 2, 3, 4. POC rep. So I have to pick 2 for this one. So for my reroll, I landed on POC representation. So I just have to pick a book that has a main character of color, and I have to pick 2 of them. So the first one that I chose is Fireheart Tiger by Aliette de Bodard. And so this is a novella. I'm not sure if it's young adult or adult, but we are following our main character of Tan, who is a princess and was sent away from the palace at a very young age. But now she is coming back, and she's going to have to deal with the mess that she left behind, as well as a few new intrigue type things. From what I understand, this is Vietnamese inspired, including our main characters. And then the second book that I chose is The Silvered Serpents by Roshani Chokshi. This is the second book in the Gilded Wolves trilogy, and which means I can't say a ton of it about it, but essentially our lovely group of thieves are traveling around quite a bit through Russia and I think some of Europe, searching for a very large score, more or less. Like I said, it's really hard to talk about because I don't want to spoil the first book, but that's essentially it. I know that there are at least two characters in this that I remember. There is Enrique, who I believe is half Filipino, half Spanish, which is a very interesting thing that adds a different kind of dynamic to his character and to his story. And then we also have Layla, who I believe is Indian. So these are the two books that I picked. Roll number 5. It's another double. Seriously? I have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. TBR vet. I have already picked my TBR vet. So we shall go see what else there is. So this time I landed on TBR veteran, and the prompt is read a book that has been on your TBR for a very long time. Now, originally, already, I have picked out the book that has been on my physical TBR the longest, which is Alien Echo. So I decided to go and pick out the book that has been on my Goodreads TBR for the longest. And that book is The Brides of Rollrock Island by Margo Lanagan. So this is, I believe, a young adult fantasy, maybe. I'm not really sure how to categorize it, but basically there is a small fishing village and there are these young women who come from the sea and are beguiling, and the people who live in this village decide to marry them. But the thing is, you may marry a person from the sea, but you don't get to keep them, and bad things start happening when you try. And so that is really all I kind of know about this book, but I have found that premise to be very, very intriguing. So it does fulfill one of my prompts from the magical readathon, specifically the Mist of Solitude, which is to read a standalone. Now for the extra rolls. Extra roll number 1, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mood read. So I landed on mood read, which is any book you feel like reading, which is awesome. And actually it does specify that you can either choose this book at the beginning when you're building your TBR in the beginning of the month, or you can just wait and see how you feel later. And that's actually what I'm going to do, because there are a couple of things that I have been eyeballing, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to want to read. So I'm just going to wait. So to be determined. And for our last extra roll, hopefully, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Opulent. So I have landed on opulent, and so that is to read a book with opulent vibes, such as a book with foiling on the cover, or a book set at court, or a book with rich main characters. So for this I have chosen Into the Bright Unknown by Ray Carson, which very clearly has some foiling on it. This is the third book in the Gold Seer trilogy. In this trilogy we're following our main character of Lee, and she has the ability to sense gold, which is awesome because this is actually Old West fantasy, and so it's like gold rush time. So in our first book she set off to California. Well, in this third book she has reached there and everything is going okay, except enter, a millionaire, I think, who really doesn't want Lee to be able to keep her claim, more or less. So yeah, this book also actually fulfills one of my magical readathon prompts, the last character prompt that I need, which is wilding, read a book largely set in a forest or outside. This is definitely mostly set outside. So those are all the books that I need to read for the bookopoly. I did not expect to have 8 books on my TBR just from that. Rolling doubles really messes you up, but there is only one book that I absolutely have to add to my reading list, and that is Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life by James Patterson. So this is a middle grade book, and I'm not entirely certain what it's about. I believe we're following a main character named Rafe who doesn't like school. That's about what I know. This book is my older child's pick, so that's why I don't know too much about it. But this does actually fulfill one of my magical readathon prompts, specifically Aurelium Academy arc book with a school setting. So, and then there are a few other books that I am looking at that will most likely be one of my picks for the mood reading. The first is Glory and Death by J.D. Robb. The next one is possibly Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, or it might be The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, or it might be Like a River Glorious by Ray Carson, which is the second book in the Gold Seer trilogy. And like, this is only if I don't get to it at the end of August. So those are all the possibilities for what I might read. All of them fulfill some prompt or another for the magical readathon, which is great. So that is it. I really found this to be a lot of fun. I hope that y'all maybe if you're interested, decide to join these readathons. I know at least the magical readathon has been a ton of fun when I've participated in the past. But that is all I have. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about the books that I have picked out, if you want to let me know what you're going to be reading, or if you're going to participate in the readathons, let me know down below. But that is it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!